Welcome. Thank you for visiting Let's Rock Podcast. My name's Steve Lutbeg, and I will be serving as a podcaster. What is it about? What are our goals, and how do we intend to achieve them? Most of us, I think, can agree that as a country, we are in it up to our necks. It's time for all hands on deck. And I believe that each of us can constructively contribute to the national conversations that we have to have on issues present and issues we haven't adequately addressed in centuries. How are we going to do this? I've got a few short episodes here to sort of get a baseline of information and facts so that we have an idea about what we're going to be discussing when we have some wonderful guests to interview shortly. But I became, in about 12 years, a passionate advocate for restorative justice and restorative practices. These are terms thrown around. A lot of people think they might know and might not. What is a restorative practice? What is restorative justice? We've named the podcast Let's Rock, R-O-C. Repair the harm, offender accountability, and community safety are the three principles of restorative justice. In basic terms, when we speak of restorative justice, we're speaking of addressing harms that are done. Principally, we'll be looking at youth courts, or in our case, we call them teen courts. These are legal diversion programs. When a young person is caught and charged with a crime, the arresting officer or the captain at the substation or prosecutor can refer a case to teen court, where students are trained to provide all the functions of a normal courtroom, with the exception of there must be an adult judge to review final verdicts. The result is, if a young person successfully completes the teen court program, they have a clean record, or in other words, a second chance to go through life without being in the system. And we'll discuss later how meaningful that can be, no question. And then the question of restorative practices. These are protocols which are directed at personal relationships and community building. And we'll be discussing three modalities. One is community building circles. Another is peer mediation. And the third is trauma-informed care. Again, all of these will be addressed in more detail in the subsequent short pieces here. The overall goal is to see if we can't find a basis to apply the guidelines, principles, and protocols of restorative justice and restorative practices to four issues of moment. First, how can we raise the level of discourse? How can we promote civil discourse in our communities? Second, how can we build community? Third, racial justice. A very difficult topic which we have never adequately confronted. And four, criminal justice reform, something upon which both progressive and conservative folks believe in. And it's certainly, our system is certainly in need of reform. It is totally punitive, and we can transform these systems with a restorative approach. So that, in a nutshell, is what we're about. We're in the process of putting up a resource page, which I urge you to look at. We've got some great guests lined up. Our first guest is going to be Mr. Scott Peterson of Global Youth Justice, which is an international organization that has had a hand in initiating or supporting 1,800 teen courts on 5 continents. He's a remarkable man in charge of a remarkable organization, and I look forward to that. There'll also be on the resource page several books on restorative justice and restorative practices, and I'm happy to say that several of the authors of those books have also agreed to join us in hopefully the near future. So I thank you very much for visiting. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, go to the homepage and press on Get in Touch and let me know. Thank you very much, and I hope to be seeing you soon.